If you want to learn how to be an effective senior engineer or a tech lead, there is one skill you absolutely need to master, and that is called prioritization. As a senior level engineer or above, you are accountable for a big part of your team's success. What you usually see is that there are many different things you or your team could do that would be impactful, but there's no way you can do them all. You have to make a choice and decide what you work on first. Many people underestimate the importance of this choice and just work on whatever came first or is the easiest. This choice, however, is often what differentiates the top 5% high performers from the rest. These high performers understand that different things can yield significantly different returns. And by focusing their time on the projects that have the highest return of investment, they can often deliver 80% of the impact with 20% of the effort, allowing them to achieve 3 to 10x more than their peers. That is what prioritization means. You look at all the potential ideas that can make a meaningful amount of impact, and you make deliberate decisions about which ones you work on first, with the intent to maximize your outcome. Prioritization is a particularly important skill for tech leads because your choice for what to work on not only affects yourself, but also your whole team. A tech lead who knows how to prioritize can create a multiplier effect that makes a day and night difference for the success of their team. Now, we talked a lot about the importance of prioritization, but how do you do it? There are a lot of different frameworks that you can adopt. I will now walk you through one that I have seen battle tested in many different teams and proven to be effective and easy to apply. And that is called priority equals to impact multiplied by confidence divided by cost. And its rationale is extremely simple. Impact here means if the idea worked well, or in more scientific terms, if your hypothesis behind the idea is true, how much business impact would you make as a result? This is usually defined by your company or team's mission or objective. If you're working on a product growth team and your team's objective is to increase daily active users for your product, then you can assess impact by estimating how many incremental daily active users each project will lead to. Confidence means how much data you already have that indicates your hypothesis is indeed true and the idea would indeed work. You should evaluate this as objectively as possible in a data-driven way. For example, if you have already run an experiment that proved the exact hypothesis to be true, then you should have high confidence about this project. If you have seen similar ideas work well on other products or in a different but similar context, then maybe you would have medium confidence about it. If you don't have any data points at all that can prove the hypothesis, then it's a low confidence idea. Cost means how much resource is needed to implement the project. Engineering cost is a big part of this, but you should also consider other dimensions such as financial cost, operational cost, and calendar time, for example. You can also try to identify which resource is your team's bottleneck and use that as the primary way to assess cost. The framework basically says, if Project A and Project B have similar confidence and cost, then whichever has the higher impact should have higher priority. If they have similar impact and cost, then whichever has the higher confidence should be higher on the list. If you see similar impact and confidence, then the one with higher cost would have a lower priority. Now I'll demonstrate how you can use this prioritization framework with a concrete example. Assuming we are working on a mobile app that allows people to watch funny pet videos, and it has 10,000 daily active users at the moment. Our goal here is to grow that active user base. On the left side of the worksheet, we have assigned some constant values to the different levels of impact, confidence, and cost. We're saying that a small impact is something that gives us 500 more daily active users. Medium impact is somewhere around 1,000, and a large impact is a transformational change that increases our daily active users by 5,000. Low confidence is something we think has a 10% chance of working. medium confidence is around 50%, and high confidence is at 90%. A small cost project is something we think can be done within a couple of days, say 3. Medium cost projects take a few weeks, and large cost projects take months. You can feel free to tweak these values based on your context and estimates. It usually doesn't change the relative priority too much. On the right-hand side, we have the main worksheet where we will be prioritizing our projects. We currently have brainstormed 4 ideas to grow our daily active users. The first one is based on our observation that a small number of our users recently uninstalled our app. We studied these users and learned that they were concerned about the storage being taken on their phone. So to prevent this from happening, there are a couple of things that we can do to optimize the size of our app. Since we know this is solving a problem only for a small number of users, let's say the impact is small. We do know with high certainty that if we do the work, it will reduce the app size. So our confidence is high. From a preliminary engineering investigation, we learned that this project will likely take a few weeks, so the cost is medium. The priority column is now calculated based on those 3 dimensions we just filled in. And the formula is what we mentioned earlier. Priority equals to impact multiplied by confidence divided by cost. Now let's move on to the next idea. As a video app, we have a recommendation feed where people can discover videos that are interesting to them. There are a lot of things that we can do to optimize the machine learning models so that we give more relevant results. Our team has already been doing this, and it's a core value proposition of our app. It's proven to be very effective at retaining users and as a result, increase our daily active user base. But it's very costly to do so, as it is a continuous optimization process. So our assessment is that it has large impact, high confidence, and high cost. We also know that allowing people to share videos from our app to their social network can be a good way to introduce our product to new users. Sometimes we see this sharing behavior allows content to go viral on Facebook and Twitter, so when this works well, it can be massively impactful. However, we've never tried this in our context, and we don't know how often people would like to share our videos. We do know sharing is a common functionality in other content products, so we do have some data points that give us a medium confidence about the idea. Our engineering estimate is that it takes a few weeks to build. So here we have a large impact, medium confidence, and medium cost. Lastly, we have a cool idea to allow people who upload videos to enable AR effects that make the videos more interesting. If this works well, it can become a unique differentiator that can draw a lot of people to our product. However, this is a novel idea, and no one has done it anywhere yet. We also know it's at least a few months of work, so let's put in large impact, low confidence, and high cost. There, we have just done a prioritization exercise for these 4 ideas we have. And now we can propose that we should work on the sharing functionality first, followed by improving the recommendation algorithm, reducing the app size, and lastly trying the AR effects. When you apply this framework in practice, one tip I'd like to share with you is to avoid false precision with your estimations. For example, when you estimate cost, instead of trying to come up with the exact number of hours needed to do the work, you can just create a few t-shirt sizes, like what we showed just now, where small means a couple of days, medium means a few weeks, and large means months. That's typically good enough. The reason to avoid being overly precise is twofold. One, getting precise estimation is going to cost you a lot of time. Sometimes it will make you question whether the time you spent on cost estimation is enough to get the project built. Two, Even if you try very hard, your estimation is likely still going to be inaccurate. What we need from this exercise is not necessarily a scientifically accurate calculation of the exact return of investment, but a relative priority order between the projects so that you can sequence them in a way that gives you the best outcome. Now, I do want to call out a few drawbacks of this approach. One limitation of the framework is that it doesn't properly reflect the internal dependency structure between different projects. For example, if you can't do project B until project A is completed, this constraint does not manifest itself easily on the worksheet. The solution is to only list things that are ready to be worked on and reprioritize regularly so that when some of the dependencies and constraints change, your plan adapts accordingly. Another common problem with this approach is that it usually doesn't incentivize innovation or long-term investments that are extremely costly and risky, just like the AR effect example we mentioned earlier. The problem is not that the formula is wrong, but rather we tend to underestimate the impact of innovation and some of these longer-term bets, because sometimes they can drive exponential returns that far exceed your expectations. This is where visionary leaders excel. They can paint a clear picture of a much better version of the future world that excites and motivates others to work on these risky bets, despite the fact that you can't easily justify the priority in a rational way. I hope this video gave you a good idea for how you can prioritize things on your plate. If you found this helpful, please remember to click the like button so more people can benefit from it. And feel free to leave comments below if you have any questions or thoughts. See you next time.